against the British Empire and fighting against Soviet imperialism, and it's now fighting against American imperialism. And they don't like occupiers, and it seems to me we fought the British. Maybe there's a reason not to like occupiers. And I'd be very careful before I said that anybody was primitive, because we have spent billions of dollars creating the insurrection against the Soviet Union and training Osama bin Laden in terror. That was us. We sent Osama bin Laden there. He is our creature. Now, he turned against us because we decided to put military bases on the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. And we're an empire. What difference does it make? But I'll tell you, if some Muslim empire sometime put a military base on the Vatican, there would be quite a protest in Europe, even though a lot of people are lapsed Catholics. There'd be a lot of people who'd be real unhappy. This was so magisterially stupid that even Rumsfeld, who has about a thought every 6 years, he decided to get the bases out of Mecca and Medina and shift them to Iraq. That's one of the reasons we're in Iraq. Get those bases shifted. Oil profits for Halliburton, shifting the bases, fairly primitive stuff. But if I may say, nobody said it was a humanitarian intervention until it turned out all the stuff they said about it was lies. So they didn't even say it was a humanitarian intervention then. They just said Saddam was a real bad guy. Afghanistan has courageously fought against a lot of invaders. And with regard to the Soviets, they have a better claim to have improved life in Afghanistan. 70% of the teachers were women. And the folks whom Reagan called freedom fighters, whom Bush tried to get an oil deal with and it fell through, and then made war on, ain't so nice now for women to be out teaching. Others?
Would you support legislation to stop the United States selling arms to Israel?
I would support legislation to get America out of the arms business over time. I think that it would be very wise for the United States to work for a negotiated settlement between Israel and Palestine of the sort Obama wanted. I think that the folks who run Israel are pursuing an entirely self-destructive policy with regard to the occupied territories, a fairly genocidal policy, which would result in great trouble for Israel. And I would be happy enough if America said to Israel, no, we're not going to arm you to the teeth if you're going to occupy this territory longer. You've got to stop these settlements, and you've got to stop doing this, and you've got to go back to the 1967 borders and work out some sort of decent arrangement with the real people who are there.
But you wouldn't support an immediate cutoff?
No. But I wouldn't oppose it either. I'd be very happy if we were having a debate in which I got to be a moderator.
Isn't that in some ways equivalent to looking at situations where we're involved in conflicts and saying we cannot simply pull out, that the president has to stop and say, how can we leave Iraq, how can we leave Afghanistan? It seems to me that you're arguing in certain instances for fairly dramatic action, and in others you would say, well, you have to deal with the realities on the ground.
No, I'm not. And actually, I think I see, well, I'd say about all these things. I think the occupation of Iraq and the occupation of Afghanistan are sheerly destructive and counterproductive. I don't think we do one good thing, and I don't think one moment that we remain there actually leads to any good. I don't believe this stuff about how what we've done in Iraq has produced some cessation in fighting at the cost of the ethnic cleansing of Baghdad and a whole bunch of other places. And it's just calm for the storm. With regard to Israel, the people currently running Israel are pursuing a crazed, self-destructive policy. And if we don't change what they're doing, and we don't change what we're doing, which we're up to our necks in, every Apache helicopter that carried out the barbarism in Gaza is ours. We don't change that, very serious. And I think Obama would like to change it, but there's enormous pressure on Obama, and Obama kind of gave up. He said freeze the settlements, and Netanyahu thumbed his nose at it. And he let Netanyahu thumb his nose at it. Now, I would just say, by the way, from the point of view of the wisdom of Benjamin, they ain't none, right? Because there are a lot of people now in America, including a lot of Jews. It's about 80% of Jews don't like these wars. And a lot of people are pro-Obama. And they don't like this stuff that's going on. And find out more that Palestinians are human, you know what? The air is going to go out of this tire pretty fast. There's just a big conference of Jews who want a decent settlement there called J Street. AIPAC is no longer the only voice. It's got a $60 million budget, but it isn't the only voice. There's going to be real trouble over this. So I'm in favor of Obama doing things wisely, but the fact is, if the U.S. decided to get out of Afghanistan in 9 months and to de-escalate its troops there and to negotiate things with various people, I would consider this enormously sane. And if the U.S. put pressure on Israel not to have these settlements, or in any case to sign an agreement with the Palestinians that would give them an airport, would give them control of their whatever they trade without having taxes taken out of it by Israel and a whole bunch of other things, I would think that I lived in heaven compared to where we are now. And I would think it would be a lot better. And I think we need a big movement to push the United States in the direction of doing exactly that. So I'm in favor of doing all of these things responsibly, but I don't believe in American imperialism. I don't like imperialism. I think imperialism is we have the biggest guns in the world. Anybody know how many military bases the U.S. has? You can't answer. How many military bases the U.S. have in the world? Give a guess.
100,000.
You get an award. That's pretty good. Rarely do people hit high. How many bases does any other power have abroad?
Very many.
Right. Can anybody think of another power that has a military base right now abroad?
Britain.
No. Others?
None, because they probably get in trouble.
Who, China? Who did you say?
He said none.
I said none.
French colonialism has 4 bases in former French Africa. The United States has an unknown number of bases, but probably it's in the range of 760 to 800. You can read about it in Chalmers Johnson's book, The Sorrows of Empire, Chapter 6. In addition, we have all kinds of joint military operations with every military that we don't have bases with. The one place that gets no major American military aid or weapons sales is Palestine. Everything else, every dictator in the world is armed to teeth by the United States. And by the way, you want to talk about democracy? Another reason for thinking this interdemocratic peace hypothesis is, as it's stated, a piece of foolishness, is that we arm so-called democracies, that is oligarchic parliamentary regimes, against their own people.